So prior to coming today, Mrs. Harper had asked me to send a normal introduction that she would probably read in introducing the speaker today. This is my second time here, and I just didn't think, I feel like family from the last visit, so I just did not think that she needed to give a long introduction. Once again, my name is Richardo Kerr. I like to put a pause in it. Reason being, the other day I told somebody my name on the phone and they said that I spoke too fast. So they wrote my name as Richardo Kerr as my first name. I don't know how they spelled it, but the person was keep asking me, what is my last name? So I have to put a pause in between. I like to think of them as two separate personalities of mine. I am an attorney at law. Why I say two separate personalities is one is Richardo is the more jovial, fun person, not. And Kerr now is when you have to go down into the whole legal matters, and that takes it takes a lot out of you, mentally, physically, and should I say also emotionally. In regards to today, the presentation today should be, it's changed. It's legal and financial considerations. What's that? There should be another part. It should be legal and financial considerations in the sale and purchase of property in Jamaica. Right? So, this can be a very long and boring topic. When I was studying this topic in school, for the first 3 lessons, I did not understand it, because the teacher was teaching the theory part first before the practical. And when you see the practical, then you realize, that's what they were talking about. So that's why I gave out these documents today, because these documents that you have would be the practical part. So I think it's best to go through the practicals, and then the theory will come to you without having to be reading any long epistle in regards to that part. So I have prepared a bunch of slides today, and these slides will guide us in our presentation. So if we were to go to the first slide. Wow. All right. I don't know how clear it is. I had expected to be on but it's not showing as clear. So that's why we have to use the TV for that. So this is the copy of a title. That's what I'm wondering. That is the copy of a title, right? To be honest, the first time I actually held a title would have been about 2016. I just never had any reason to hold one before. I speak to a lot of persons and they tell me that they have never seen a title before. So it was about 6 years before I've actually held one in my hand, an actual title, right? This is the new type. They have different variations of this title before. The color, it's a brown. It's normally printed on a brown paper, right? One of the main reasons why persons who may have had properties in Jamaica and they have never seen the title is because probably the person went through a bank or NHT. So whenever you buy the property moves from the vendor directly to the bank for 20, 35 years until you pay it off. That's when you actually see the title at the end of the payment period, right? Yes. So the title, very important document. This week alone, 3 persons have called me to say that they have lost their titles, which I find a bit unbelievable, because it's an important document like that. I do not know how you'd lose such a document. Then I thought about it. I realized that some titles may not be lost. They may have been hidden. The owner for the property may have hidden it so far that they have now gone up in age that they cannot remember where it was hidden. So you might have a lost title situation again if you have a fire place burned down with it. So it's not always unbelievable, but it's something that I encourage persons to locate your title. Whoever hid it, if you can speak to them and you want to know where they hide it. Some persons have placed it in the bank, in the security box. Some persons have given it to their pastor to keep, the church, different places. So from you see the title, you'll know exactly what it is. The main reason why I brought the title today is, I said we are doing the legal and financial considerations in the sale and purchase of property, right? I am zooming in my scope onto what we call registered land. Into what we call registered land. So you have two types of land in Jamaica. You have registered, unregistered. Registered mean the person would have gone through to register a registered land is similar to what you call a titled land. The person went through the procedure, got a title for the property, and they have it. The unregistered land, you will mainly find that in the rural areas where persons haven't formalized the process as yet. But I know that the National Land Agency and the LAMD, as they are doing exceptional work to make sure that all parishes are fully covered in terms of fully registered titles. So this is what we call the registered title. So we are focusing, it takes a different procedure in selling or purchasing unregistered land from registered land. So we are focusing on registered land. We are in Portmore, we are in St. Catherine, and persons within this parish, if you know, I'm guessing that anybody purchasing land going forward will be registered land, right? So, I said I wish it would have been a little bit clearer, but let's go to it. So, the first thing you notice on this title is what we call the registered number at the top. It's called a volume and a folio number, right? Each title has a separate number that can be used to identify the title. So whether you're buying land or selling land, that number will be, thank you. Yes, these numbers are unique to all titles, so we'll refer to the title by the volume and folio number. This title appears to be what I call a splinter title, right? A splinter title is, let's say you own, I'm going to use the tiles as an example. Everybody can see so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tiles right here, right? So you own a piece of land that covers all 6 tiles, sorry. And this land is say about, so we'll do 8, right? And that's 2 acres worth of land. And you say, okay, if I break up these into half acres, I could get a different plot for everybody. So you would have a regular title, and then you cut up that title into 8, and that's how you get a splinter title. It's still recognized as a good title. That's how most of this started, because if you look on the long time days plans for Portmore, you'd see one big title, then you see it's a part of it would break up each lot into a splinter title. right? Why I say it's a new title, well, the date would show you. This was March 2021, this title was issued. The volume and folder number is given right here, 1512-568. So that would have been the parent title for the entire thing. And then the splinter would be for just one of those 8 lots. So it gave the original name of the owners who owned the first title, who owned the first lot. And the parish, St. Elizabeth, the property name part of that, lot number 13. So this person had here it says share 126, 1 of 26. So there were 26 original lots, and this is the title for lot number 13. Right? On the title, down the bottom here, it would have given what we call encumbrances. Encumbrances are what we call restriction. Whenever you're going to the parish council for each parish, would have certain restrictions on each land. So the restrictions would be placed on the title. So the first thing it will give you that no building shall be erected 6 meters from the boundary, no permanent structure shall be erected less than 3 meters from a drainage feature. So these are the restrictions that you find on all titles. It's not the same for each parish, because each parish or each municipality have different rules. For example, one in Portmore, when you look at a lot of Portmore titles, so this middle tile here is your property, right? And it says you need a boundary of 4 feet from the wall whenever you're building your house, right? So whenever you're buying a house, well, you'd have to look on the title to see the exact restriction on that title. But say for example, you're buying a house and you get a copy of the title and it says 4 feet. And you go there and you realize there's only like 1 foot from the wall to the from the wall of the house to the fence wall. You realize obviously there's something wrong immediately. That's what we call a breach. Whenever the first person who would have built the house, they would have made sure that the house is in keeping with the 4 feet restriction. But the houses are very small. So persons might have a house and they'll be like, I think we need to bring out the room some more. But in bringing out some more, you breach the boundary restriction. Right? So I think if we skip to I have a second, since this is a new title, can I skip to the second slide? Still not clear? All right, go to the next slide. Next one. Wow. All right, this is a different title. So this is an older, based on how the writing, you would realize it's an older type when compared to the previous one, right? But let me read the restrictions on that, since it's not. All right, so the first restriction says all gates and doors should be open inwards. Second one, you cannot subdivide the land into smaller lots, as we had shown before. No building of any kind other than a private dwelling should be located in it, so you can't put a school, a shop, anything else except a house on it. So these are certain restrictions which are normally placed on the title. In this case, there are about 12 of them. So you need to consider this whenever you are buying a property from somebody, to make sure that the person we are buying it from was keeping with those restrictions and that the reason why you are buying the property, you will be able to keep with those restrictions, else it don't even make no sense to buy it. Right? So we go to the next page. All right. This is another important. So after you go through the whole restrictions part, you can track the owners of the property. So you look on you read from the last entry to the first. So here, the previous, here it has a mortgage registered. So whenever you take out a person takes out a loan on a property, they'll enter the mortgage on your title, right? In Jamaica, we operate. We use. This is called a duplicate. Sorry, it's called a duplicate certificate of title. So for each title that has been issued by the land agency, titles office, they have two. So they'll give you one and they'll keep one. Right? So whenever you do any transactions in regard to that title, the title has to go back to the land agency for them to enter the transaction both on yours and on the one that they have keeping. So this is how if you were to lose yours, they could rebuild the title for you based off the information that was on the one that they would have there. So because of that, so this person would have had a mortgage prior to that. Shoot. Again, I wish it, but let's move on. So the last owners on this title, their name would have been here. It would say transfer number. So you have different type of ways how to transfer property. So you can, if in this case it would have been a transfer and they put consideration $1 million. So regular transfer, person pay $1 million for the property, and that's it. So they paid $1 million immediately. The mortgage is entered as well. Before, you also can transfer a title via transmission. So the previous owner would have been here. They took out a mortgage. Whenever you pay off the mortgage, it says discharge. So it says mortgage has been discharged. Then apparently a transmission has been entered here. So what the transmission here means, probably the owner here, one of them would have died. They did a will, or it was what we call a grant of administration. So if your name is on a title, Celoy's name is on a title, and she wrote a will to give the title to her child, right? But she would have to put an executor on the title. So, an executor in the will. The executor now would be the person who is going to go through and probate the will. So whenever the probate is granted, the title is transferred to the executor, and then the executor transfer it to the child. It doesn't, yet the child name doesn't automatically. So it went to the executor right here, and then the executor transfer it to the person who are the beneficiary in the will. All right. Can I go to the next slide? Oh, next slide. Next slide. Sorry, can you go directly to 12, image number 12? All right. I tell you that this topic is kind of boring to do the introductory part. So to get everybody attention, let's just go directly to the money part, and then everything else will make sense from here, right? that's exactly what caught my attention as well. All right, so I realize that there are persons online. Good evening to you as well. Let's say, so in Jamaica, there is now a huge interest in purchasing and selling of property, right? You can track it to about 2016, 2017. There a lot of properties now moving, whether buying or selling. So I've been watching TV recently, and I see a number of programs coming on where they say that there's a huge demand for land, because everybody want to make sure that everybody want to get a piece, whether it's land or house, but you need to secure somewhere to live and to pass on to your children, right? Persons overseas might look at it as an investment. Person want to come back to Jamaica after years in the cold and all of that. You probably want to return to Jamaica to settle, right? While I was coming down, I actually Googled reasons to buy property in Jamaica. And they put 5 reasons. 1, closing costs are down, interest rates are down, NHT is providing more housing solution, Jamaica is a top tourist destination, the economy is on the rise, right, as the reasons. So persons overseas will look at it as an investment. We in Jamaica, we make sure we are looking at it as make sure we have somewhere for ourselves on the rock, right? And it is my personal belief that if Jamaica didn't have a crime issue, we could not buy land in Jamaica, because our diaspora is probably more than the population, and everybody overseas, whenever you go overseas, you have a certain missing for Jamaica. I was in Barbados for 2 years, and I wanted to come back every single day. Nothing wrong with Barbados, you know. It's just that I want to come back. I have been to Toronto, to New York, different states, and after 2 weeks of going around and shopping and eating, you want to come back home. That's just me still. Especially now with COVID going around, and you hear that when the people in colder areas are affected more, and are affected more than this type of climate that we have in Jamaica. Don't say I'm a scientist on that part, but based on the numbers, they said people in Jamaica are not as affected. Our positivity rate is below 5%. So that seems to be good. Plus, we have the sunlight here, we have different medicines and bushes and all of that can be used. Also, get your vaccine. So don't let me say that I did not tell you to get your vaccines. Right, so persons overseas, they don't feel I've spoken to persons who call me all the while. You know, in the land of Sella, Jamaica, I have clients overseas, and you know, in the land, everybody want, even if they're not coming back to live fully, they want somewhere to can say that's there. Not everybody really want to go to a hotel all the time. People look at it as an investment thing. You buy a house to stay when you come. When you're not here, you use it as a Airbnb, or you can rent it out. You can do different things with it. Plus, as I said, the real estate in Jamaica constantly going up. Constantly. Every time I look at a title, with the part where I show you where it says transfer number, every time I get a sale to do, should I say, I look at the part that says transfer. I look at the last transfer that was done, and it tell you how much money the person pay for it, and then I compare it to how much they are now selling it for. It's ridiculous. I got a sale last week. Person buy the property for like, in 2006, for like about 7 million, and they are now selling it back for 33 million. This title that I just showed you, the last title I just showed you a while ago, they bought it for 1 million, they are now selling it back for 8 million. Right? So the prices, I saw some lots the other day being sold by, I think, the UDC. And they came out November 2020, I think. And they were listed for 8.5. Then they did a new ad in February 2021. And it moved up to 9.5. And then they did a new ad again in December. And the same one as 9.5 now, 12.2. Them don't clear no bush, them not do anything at all to it. It's the same land. I drive past this land every day, and I'm like, why am I never bid on it from it today? I'm 8.5. So that's the property values keep going up. It's not the market in Jamaica is not similar to overseas market. You hear people say the real estate market crash. I've never heard anybody say Jamaica real estate market crash. If times are good, the price of land go up. Times are bad, price of land go up. So I've never seen anybody who say them buy a lot or buy a house or whatever and the price goes down. So it's a good investment to have, right? And the same lot of selling that the person bought in 2006. And they took a 15-year mortgage out on that lot. So it's not the lot, the house. They bought the house in 2006, took a 15-year mortgage, rented it out, used the rent to pay off the mortgage, and by the time it pay off, they are now selling it back, so them don't even go into them pocket to take out anything. And now they are selling it for 33 million. So it's whenever you look on the cost for mortgages, it's so similar to the cost for rent. So even if you don't have the cash to go and say buy a property, it's always good to speak with a financial institution, whether it's NHT, whether it's a bank, to see if you can be provided with if you are able to get a certain mortgage in that can cover the cost of buying a property. Because at the end of the day, you go there today and they say, okay, we can lend you 15 million to buy this property. When you compare how much money you pay now, because they'll give you a working out showing how much money you'll pay back, and you comparing it rent. 10 years from now, the money that they told you today will come in like nothing, but the rent will go up because times get harder. So your landlord will always raise the rent, but the mortgage the mortgage fee will stay the same. So it's like it going down, because obviously your salary would have raised. I've spoken to persons who took mortgages like more than 15 years ago, and the cost that they are paying now, they're like, okay, we have to double it so we can pay it off quicker, because the price stays the same, right? So, all right. So, why I brought up this chart, right? I don't want to say it wrong here. NHT raised their thing to 6.5. I don't remember the exact year. Then the banks were set about 2016. There were a few options in. The person said that the reason that we look at that says interest rates are down and closing costs are down. Those are the two main reasons why there's a peak in real estate in Jamaica. So say about 2015, we had basically three main persons in the mortgage game. VMBS, Jamaica National, and NHT. After that, so NHT went up in regards to their fees to 6.5. And then that's when the banks decided, well, first they started to cut the mortgage rates from, some was high as about 11, some people went down to 8%. Right now, I see banks advertising 6% because NHT is now down to 0 in some instances. A client came to me and took a mortgage for 240 months. And when I did the calculations to how much a person would have to pay, it's basically they don't pay any interest. But that is based on your salary, your age, and all of that. So you can visit the respective institutions. They'll tell you how much they can lend you, what interest rate and stuff. So, and then what really triggered the revolution, I should say, in terms of prices selling, property selling. Say this was today was March 30th, 2019, or should I say March 31st. Loy Harper has a property. She lives at 1 Portmore Road. And she went to a lawyer and said, I want to sell this property. I've been speaking to my neighbor, Mr. Omer Hamilton, and I did a valuation for this property, and the property is valued at $20 million, right? So if this was March 30, 2019, there are 3 immediate costs put forward by the government that you have to consider in regards to properties. The first cost was stamp duty. Sorry. At that time, stamp duty was 4% of the value of the property. So a $20 million property, the tax on that would be, stamp duty on that would be $800,000. The registration fee, which is charged by the National Land Agency to change your property over, would have cost $100,000. That's 0.5% of the value of the property. Transfer tax, on the other hand, would have been another $1 million. So these first two, the stamp duty and the transfer tax, were killing people. So a lot of persons never really wanted to get into the whole property buying and selling because you have to pay. So you have a property for $20 million and you're paying about $1.9 million out of that in taxes, right? So then you do what you call an agreement for sale. So, the vendors never wanted to sell because if you realize the transfer tax is only paid by the vendor. So people were reluctant to sell properties because so even though the stamp duty is $800,000, the vendor would pay $4,000 and the person buying would pay $400,000. The registration fee also is divided. The transfer tax is only paid by the person who is selling. So people would be reluctant to sell properties based on that high tax rate, right? So other costs involve an agreement for sale, which we'll get to, letters of possession, attorney's costs. You notice I put this in yellow because, let me give a disclaimer. The attorney's costs, it shouldn't have been added to this figure. Attorneys generally, this is not written in any stone or any, so I can't give you the cost for another attorney in regards to how they charge, but generally, they charge between 2 to 5% of the value of the property. I put the word generally very loosely. Whenever you speak to your attorney, they'll tell you what percentage they use, right? Generally, if you are selling a property, the attorney might charge a higher rate than if you are buying a property. So in this case, I put 600,000 because it equals to about 3. I tried to find a midpoint of the 2 to 5%. So 600,000 would be about 3% of the, would be 3% of 20 million. And 400,000 would be about 2% of 20 million. So it's a general, so don't quote me on the exact figure that attorneys will charge, right? So at the end of the day, you sell a property for 20 million, you are getting 17,781,100, right? All right, skip to the next slide. So bring it down to today. You are selling the same property for 20 million. Stamp duty, which would have been 800,000, is now $5,000 flat. There's no percentage anymore. They have a flat fee. So instead of each person paying 400,000, you pay 2,500 each, right? Transfer tax, which was the 5% earlier of 1 million, is now cut to 2%. So now you'll pay, the vendor would now pay 400,000. So if the person was selling under the same conditions, they would get now 18,788,500. Skip. If the person had used the realtor, again, don't quote me on the price. Most realtors charge about 5% of the sale price. I'm not sure if they are willing to negotiate with you if you are selling, but that's something that you'd have to check with the realtor before you sign any documents to sell. And there's also a GCT on that. You can skip to the next one. Oh, that would have been 2019. So this would be now. So the totals in regards to the 2361, part of it cut off. Skip to the next one. All right. So it came up the top for the last one. All right, so what we are finding though is I've seen situations where persons are overpricing lots, overpricing the property. Why do you think they would do that? Well, so the property would have been worth 20 million in this case, right? But the vendor has now decided to sell it at a higher price, so whenever the taxes come out, so she would have, so say Loy sell the property, so Loy was the owner of the property in this case. She's now selling it, the property, she did a valuation before, know that property valued 20 million, but whenever these figures come out, so what she did in this case was raise the price of the property to 22,667,000 because she would have worked out all of this part for the taxes to come out. So at the end of the day, she get $20 million. Yes. Definitely. All right. Can I skip the next one? Yeah. So the purchaser would end up be paying a higher figure in this case. Next slide. Wow. I wanted it to be so much bigger. All right, so that would have been the vendor's statement. So you are now buying a property, right? Can't. All right, so in this case, person buying a property, I just have to tell you the figures. Person buying the property, it's been sold for 20 million, right? So these are their costs, stamp duty, registration fee, and all of that. A deposit is normally asked for whenever you're buying a property. Most persons ask for 10% deposit on the property. So in this case, the 10% would be 20 million, right? Then you have to pay for the agreement for sale, which is up here. So this 50,000 a year will come back here, and the GCT and that. So your deposit would be 2,057,500. So there's a balance of 18,064,000 to be paid today. So you, at the start of the sale, you pay the deposit and the agreement for sale costs. So you would owe the vendor 18,064,000 whenever that is minus from that, right? At that time, the banks were giving 90% mortgages. Now banks are now moving up to 95%, right? So the 90% of it would be 90% of the not the cost that you are buying the property for, but 90% of the value of the property, right? So a person might be selling a property which is overvalued. So in the case where lawyer would have hiked up the price so that when everything done, she get back 20 million, it would cause a problem in this case for the purchaser, because the purchaser would have to pay the difference, right? So if lawyer decide that she's not going to hike up the price, even though, so the $20 million property, she's selling for the 20 million that she did in the valuation. The person buying will do a valuation and it will come to the same, they're about 20 million. So the bank is going to lend you 90% of whatever the valuation is. So in this case, 90% of the 20 million would be 18 million. So there's a shortfall of 64,000, and then you pay your attorney's fee separate. Can I skip the next one? Right? But what I said, but if you're to maximize in this case, it's the same chart, but there's go back to the first one, please. So if you were to get a 90% mortgage, right, on a property that's valued 20 million, the bank is going to lend you 18 million and you will find 2.581,500. Right? See? In this case, if the bank gave you 95%, right, but you still pay the deposit right here of 10%, instead of the bank would only lend you 18,064,000. Right? So you would have to come out of the pocket 2,517,500, because they're not going to pay more than what is to clear the balance. Can I skip to the third one? So now in this case the bank gave you 95%, but you paid a deposit of 5%. So in this case, the bank will lend you 19 million, right? And then you would have to find 1,581,500. The issue with deposit has always been a tricky one. Some lawyers are stuck in their old phase in regards to 10% deposit, while some are a little more lenient or some will to make the sale go through, they'll work with a lower deposit. People would say, well, some persons said that the deposit is to cover the taxes to start. But since the taxes have now been reduced to, because prior to 2019, the taxes associated with a sale would have been about 9.5% of the property. But now it's 2% plus 5, it's almost about 3% now. So because of that, we as attorneys will try and negotiate for a lower deposit so you can get a max in terms of the loan from the bank. Right, you can go to the next one. There's no more? Supposed to go to 21? Wow. It's not there? All right. All right, can I get one of these? Sure. All right, so there was supposed to be another slide, but it was just in the event that you were buying a property that has been overvalued. Say lawyer had sold the property for 22 million instead. You'd end up have to be finding about 4 point something million out of pocket. So that was supposed to be the next slide. All right. So I don't think it's on there. Can we go back to image number 8? All right, normally somebody come to me and they want to buy a property or they want to sell a property. First thing I would ask, do you love the property? Well, if you want to buy it, make sure that you love the property, because this is where you'll be living in most cases, and we'll have to probably living there until you buy another one. Right? So it is a long-term investment. Make sure that you love the place. You'll go there, I tell them start the property. Don't just go there one time. Go there on a Monday. Go there on a Sunday. Go there on the weekends, because you might go there in the week. There's nobody around. But you don't know that on the weekends a lot of people come and gather around there. People sit down on your wall, smoke weed, different things. So go there at different times. If you see rain falling heavy, go there, go look at it to make sure that it is not a place that floods. Right? Anything at all, anytime at all, because I said you'll be living here, so you have to make sure that is a place that you do all your research, your background checks. You talk to the persons who live beside, find out what's happening with it, because people will always give you information. Right? So do all your background research before you proceed in buying a property, because it's an expensive investment. So the procedure is, so you persons sell or buy properties through advertisements. After. Yeah. So the normal procedure now that is followed. That person's follow in regards to buying or selling. A person may put a property in the newspaper. They might put a sign out there, a for sale sign, or they might put it with a realtor, and the realtor has a website. So you can choose different, whatever medium is accessible to you. Personal story, I was looking for a piece of land the other day, and I found it easier to be like just driving around the area, looking out for signs and things, because you might get a better deal there if you deal with the person directly. You can check the Sunday papers. Persons also advertise there, but the problem with that is you don't really get a view of the property. You might just see a sign that says 2-bedroom house. You don't know what the conditions how big it is, all of that. So people try to use the internet more. So in that case, you have over 20. Well, I'm not sure. You have more than 20 realtors in Jamaica right now. You can go on their websites and you find the property. So what we have on screen now is whenever you find this property, you'd make an offer. If the offer is accepted and you are willing to proceed, you'll give the information, whether it's to the vendor, to the vendor's representative, whether it's your attorney, whether it's your realtor. You fill out the form, something similar to the paper that I would have given out at the start. Here's what we call an offer to purchase form. I always encourage persons to speak with your attorney before you fill out this form, because this form will guide what is in the agreement for sale or the contract to buy land. So I did an example of how the form is normally to be filled out. There are certain requirements. So we are moving to, wow, it's not really showing. Oh my God. Should I say, this presentation is more of a visual type. It's difficult to properly explain without the Can I reschedule? Can I do a reschedule? Can I do a reschedule? So we can get the kind of bigger thing. Because most of the thing we may do. Okay. Well, it's just like the person there can't see it, so it's like, lose the curve. Okay.
Talk about the key information that needs to be put.
Yeah. All right, so this is what we call a surveyor's report. Whenever you're going to buy a property, there are two reports that you will which will be initially asked for: a surveyor and a valuation report. The surveyor's report will give you a drawing of the individual lot, and it would have given you information in regards to the property from the top, and would have checked the necessary boundaries. In this case, there is a breach. There was a breach of this property as outlined in this green area circled here. The breach, in this case, the person had built their house over the border, right? I think there's a picture of there. If you skip to the next slide. Next one, yeah. Yes. All right. Pictures I'll make better. So this was the house. This is the house that is in the survey. All of this part here, this was after the work was done. So before this house came right out to here. So they built it right over on the sidewalk, basically. So there are different ways how you can fix a breach. You can fix it whether you go to court. Your attorney will do a claim with the parish council and NEPA and ask them to allow for the breach. But in this case, this breach was more serious because it was considered an encroachment, because if you look at the White House, this is where the natural boundary of the house should have been. But this person had built their house right out to the sidewalk. So an encroachment would not be something that you can fix that easy. So what they had to do was knock off that side of the house, basically. So you can see the debris right at this point right here. So that's what a survey report will do. The person will go there, measure the house, and make sure that the house or the land is, all the boundaries are properly checked. Because one, a bank or a mortgage institution will not provide a mortgage if the property has a breach, right? If it was a if it had a breach that could not be fixed. If you look here, this house has what we call an eave. The eave up the top right here, normally built so when the rainfall, it don't come right down on the house. Most houses have eaves on them now. On some titles does not make a provision for eaves. So if the house is, say, right here, 4 meters from the title, from the wall, some of the time the eave might go over, probably about another foot. And instead of the surveyor person will measure from the wall, they measure from the eave, and then tell you that the property has a breach, which would have been obvious on the pictures and on the report. So in that case, you might not have to knock it off per se. You can apply to have that fixed on the title to say that not to count the breach, not to count the eave as part of the land itself. So whenever they are measuring, they measure from the wall instead of from the eave. The document which could not be opened or which was not sent, probably get dropped off the email, would have been what we call an agreement for sale. This document is most important document to me, because from you sign it, you're in a contract which is very difficult to get out of. And even if you try to get out of it, it's probably going to cost you some money. Right? In this document, I think I'll have to email it after. This document would give you the terms and conditions of the sale. So going through it quickly. So on the top it would tell you the date of the agreement, the name of the parties who are involved in the sale, And names are very important in this case because that's exactly what will appear on the title. So we ask that if you plan to purchase property or sell property, to make sure that whatever name is on your TRN, or however it's spelled on your TRN, it should be spelled the same way on your other IDs, on your IDs, whether it's driver's license, passport, birth certificate. As I've seen sales put on hold for names. A simple name like Kerryan. The person on the TRN is Kerryann, but on their other IDs it's Kerry-Ann, and that alone can throw it off in regards to having to get the person had to go and change the ID so it match with the TRN. If you are outside of Jamaica, you need a TRN to do any business with the government. So you can get a TRN even if you are not Jamaican. So you'd have to consult with the law in regards to that. I had a sale. A sale normally would take 3 to 4 months if it's a mortgage sale. I had a sale take almost a year because the person who was selling the property, let's say her last name was Brown on her birth certificate. Then she got married to William and changed her name to Williams. And she bought the property while she was Williams, got divorced from Williams, and is now Smith. So when we did the contract was, well, I wasn't the one who did the contract. I was representing the purchaser in that case. But they didn't check they were using her ID now in Smith, but the property was bought in Williams. So when we sent her birth certificate to say, well, she's actually to reconcile her name, her birth certificate says Brown, but the property says Williams. So a lot of digging up, had to get documents from the court, all kind of stuff, just to reconcile it, and it took almost a year to do that because it was during the COVID phase and the person was overseas. So to moving around during that time was difficult, and the court was closed at some point as well. So that the name is very important. I saw another reason So we move from name, we have TRN. The purchase price would be what we agree should be on it. How payable. Wow. I think we should do a Zoom, because explaining these things without having the actual document, it is very difficult, because there are certain things I have to highlight and show you. So I think one day we can have a Zoom meeting. Is that possible? To do a Zoom thing? Okay. Yes. I say it's a very difficult topic to just talk about without actually showing you exactly. You realize the part in regards to the finances, how easily that went over, but to not be able to see the documents, it's kind of a disservice. So we might have to continue via Zoom. All right. You had a question though? Yes.
What happens in the case when you are seeking to use NHT and you're also seeking to get some additional monies from the bank to fully cover the cost of the house?
Okay. All right. NHT and the bank at times will have what they call a pari passu arrangement, right? So if you go to the NHT and let's say you qualify for 6.5 million, but you see a property for 15 million, right? They'll allow you the bank will allow you to use your NHT portion. So you will get the 6.5 from NHT and they'll lend you the rest, right? So, but what they have done is made it easier for you. You don't have to go to both NHT and the bank. You just do it at the bank, and then they'll split the loan in two, basically. But you pay one money to the bank. Yes. Any more questions? All right. As I said, I would have, sorry. Can't come here.
All right, what's the best age range to buy property?
The best age range to buy property.
Yeah.
Are you speaking in terms of using a mortgage or using cash? Mortgage. All right. So I was speaking to I had a client there recently, right, who was about 55, and she would have been able to get a loan through NHT, right? She went through the NHT, and I think she got a senior citizens discount as well. So her thing was 0% interest rate, right? But it depends on because she's 55, I think for her, they put it that she has about 14 more years. So that would be about, I think you can get a loan from NHT up to about 69. Don't quote me, yeah? Yeah, but the thing is, it would be a lower, because she was 55, going to be 56. They gave her 14 years repayment. So I think, based on that, I think that but she would have had to be earning a higher salary. So she was, I think she was earning about 40,000 per week, so 160 per month, and based on that, she was able to get the full 6.5. If she was earning less than that, she would have gotten probably about 4.5. The best thing to do is to go into the NHT or to the bank, and they can use your age and work out how much they can lend you and how long you'll have to repay. So.
I have a case in Portland. Yes. Mic check. Shh.
Yes.
Shh. Yes, I have a case in Portland
Okay.
where somebody died and leave lands in Portland.
Okay.
The parents died, and so the lands are given by will to these persons.
Okay.
If the land is given to you, if it's a willed land,
It's a?
if it's a willed land
Yes.
to you, can you at any time sell that land? It is not in your name. It is not in your name, but it is willed to you. Can you sell that land? That is a willed land.
Is there a title for that land?
No, there's no title for that land.
Okay. Well, one, yes, you can sell a land if you have a, what you call that? Sorry, no man. One, for Portland, I used to work in Portland, so I'm very familiar with it. There is a lot of, there's land registration going on right now in Portland. Every day you hear the car, they have like they call a town crier car, passing out and say, come to this church, come to this school, and get your title, basically. Bring all of these documents that you would have had, whether it's a deed or, and let us work out so you can get your title. So after you get the title in that case, and your name goes on the title, so I would encourage those persons to take advantage of National Land Agency and what you call Land Administration Management. It was first LAMP, but now they have changed LAMP to LAMD. The P has now changed from program to division.
That's a very good information.
So when we just started, we said we had unregistered land and registered land. In this case, we're dealing with registered land. So they are making it easier for persons with unregistered land to get titles. They have cut the cost significantly in regards to the taxes, in regards to the whole procedure. So you find that they'll have, so LAM will probably come at, the church in the community, the officers would come, you come and they have what they call adjudication. Persons come, you bring your, it's like a court, like a semi-formal court where you come and you make your claim to the land. You bring persons come and say, yes, this person has had this land or their family has had this land for how much years, whatever. Bring all your receipts that the person would have paid for this, and then after a while you'll be presented with titles. I know they are doing work in Portland. I see them in St. Mary. I see them in St. Elizabeth. So take advantage. I would advise them to take advantage of that, get the title, and then they can.
All right.
They'll be able to sell it in that case.
Thank you.
Yes. So for the persons online, well, and also persons here as well, there was always, I always tell it, try and get somebody who is familiar with the process, and also bear in mind that with this newfound fervor for persons to go out and get land, to make sure that it has also brought opportunities for persons who are scammers, basically. Same Portland, I go to you mentioned Portland. Portland is one of the most beautiful parish in Jamaica to me. I had an office there. I worked there for about 2 years, and when you're there, you feel like you're not really in Jamaica, right? There are a lot of beaches, a lot of tourist attractions, and the crime is low, significantly low. I remember when they were, if you look on the murder stats, Jamaica from way back, every year Portland was below 10 people for the whole year, when the rest of the country, 1,000 odd. So it is a place that a lot of people want to be. It's also a place a lot of you have unregistered land, as he had mentioned. So in 2019, I remember a client from England called me and says, Richardo, I found a lot in Portland. They recently bought a lot in St. Catherine, and she called me like somebody very happy and said, Richardo, I found another Latino. I say, yeah? She said, yeah, man, I found a lot in Portland. Some of my friends told me about, and them send money to the person for pay them deposit and all of that. And I'm like, all right, I'm happy for that, but calm down a little bit. Make we investigate it first. I'm like, all right, who is the lawyer dealing with it? She said, no, the man don't have a lawyer. And she talked to him this morning, and he's very intelligent. I said, all right. I gave him a call, and I spoke to him, and very intelligent gentleman. So I said, okay, I am coming to Portland, I think about the Thursday or the Friday, because I have a case in the court there. So I said, after court, I'm going to come and meet with you, because what the man told me was that he didn't have a title yet. Right? So I said, all right, I'll meet with you after court. Let's go look on the land. Bring all your documents we have, we don't normally bring to get the title. And let's go through them. So I went, met with him, parked the car right by the lot, about 2 acres. And he came to me, well-dressed person, perfect English. And I said to him, this is your land? He said, yes. He said, what evidence you have that is your land? Him go in and bag and take out one big folder. And so I said, how come, so all of these documents, you don't have a lawyer since you know? He said, no, man, I know the whole process, man. I'm selling it by myself. And so I said, okay, so where is it? I'm saying, well, one, I am not buying the land until you get the title for it. Right? Because you can sell unregistered land, but I am not buying the land like that based on paperwork that you have. So I said, so normally I know that he would have to show how him get the land to the land agency for him can get title. So I said, okay, show me how, through these papers that you have, how the land belongs to you. And for about 15 minutes he was talking. And then I said to myself, I had to have a consultation with myself. I said, Richardo, somebody here, somebody knows, it's either we or him. Right? So, so I said this to myself, it's either me. And I realized that just talking to him, people from the area just walk past, and every time somebody pass, them always chuckling or laugh and things. So I'm saying, no man, something wrong here, so. This man, I have never stepped foot in a psychology class or psychiatry. This man mad. Sad thing about it, people have sent him money. This man have no claim to the land. Him just think him own the land. And so after, I never really shun him or anything. I said, okay, sir, I'll keep in touch with you. So I got interview a couple of people in the area, and everybody's like, that is a madman. Like, everybody in the area knows him mad. And this man has advertised this land, and people sending him money. Like, I had to video call my client on WhatsApp and to make she hear from one of the persons in the area exactly what was happening. And I'm like, I am so glad that you didn't send him any money. Right? So, I mean, things like this happen. Right? Especially to people overseas who can't get to see the land in Jamaica or see the property in Jamaica. Next time again, I got a call one day from Fraud Squad. Right? So, I normally did criminal cases, so they have my number there. So, the Fraud Squad people called me and said they have a client for me. So, I thought it was somebody who was charged for fraud or whatever. But it was actually a complainant. So when the person, so I said, give them a number. I see a number from England again calling me. So that he came to Jamaica, he went to the beach somewhere in St. Elizabeth, and him see the place. I said, yeah, I like the place, you know. And somebody said to him, you like the place? He said, yeah. He said, yeah, man, me da come back, come live here, man. Man said, all right, come show you one land where I go sell. Him go with the man, and the man show him a nice lot, flat thing, can build a nice house pan, and get the man number, decide, say, I'm going to deal it himself. Him go back to England, and keep sending the man money. Sending the man money to buy the lot. How him realize that is when this man sell this lot to 4 different people. Sell this lot to 4 different people. So every time him say anybody one suspecting, him carry them, sell them the same lot. And how things came to a head was when the last person who buy the lot start build. And then people in the area see that person building and call the owner with their fire and say, somebody out here build for your lot. And that person never sell the lot. So this client now from England called me in a frenzy. Because him done spend free money already and I want to know how him going to get it back. Unfortunately, in most cases, you will not get it back. Because people with this kind of fraud kind of thing, it's not like them going to keep the money. As soon as him get it, him a floss, him a buy car, him a buy liquor, all kind of thing. So him done spend that already. And even though the police held on to him and charged him for all of these fraud, in order for you to get back here, one, him don't spend the money already, so I don't see how you're going to get it back. 2, you'd have to wait until he's tried for the criminal offense. So, say for example, him go jail. Because you can't try a civil case till the criminal case has been hashed out. Him do 3 to 5 years and him come back out. Him not have the money to pay you back, so at the end of the day, the money that basically lost. So you have to know what you're doing in regards to dealing with persons who unsuspecting victims of crimes in this case. Any more questions? Okay. All right. So, I said, based on the fact that we weren't able to do this, we're going to try and do a Zoom meeting. And also, if you, well, I'm going to give Miss Harper the details. So, if you need to do a personal consultation, say you find a piece of land to buy or a house, or you're selling a land or a house and you want to do a consultation, I will waive the consultation fee, right? Yes. So, so Ms. Harper, I will not come in front of the church and say something like that. So Ms. Harper will coordinate that. I'm going to print a special card, like an appointment, and have like an appointment card, and give them to her. And on the back I'll write consultation fee waived. So anytime you're ready, you can call on that waiver, right? Because I said we were not able to fully do the presentation as we would have wanted. So you can do the consultation for that part. So yeah, blessings come in different ways. So we will waive the consultation fee. Right? All right, thanks.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kerr. Did we learn a lot? Yes, very good, very good. As I said, it was about edification. I didn't catch much of it, but I know I see the eyes wide open. And normally at this time people would be sleeping, so obviously something good was imparted. All right, so we thank you very much, and to officially thank you, I'm going to ask Miss Cressa and Samuels to come and give this small token of our appreciation, because there are many other things you could have been doing at this time, and we appreciate the fact that you have come. So I'm going to ask Sister Cressa and Samuels to give you a small token of our appreciation to show you how much we value your information that you've imparted to us. All right, so at this time we'll have, okay.
Mr. Richardo Kerr, on behalf of the members of the Church of God Seventh-day Braeton, we just want to say thank you very much for coming and enlightening us about how to buy and sell property. It was indeed very informative. And I know that from today forward, you'll get at least 3 clients. And I know that the fees will be waived for those 3 clients, because we have newlyweds and they're looking to buy a home. Thank you very much for coming.